Welcome to Jus Ah Conversation, the podcast where we discuss the topics that matter to you. I'm Aisha Reid, and I'll be joined today for the first time by a new co-host,
Fabian Belgrave.
Fabian. It's good to see you.
Thanks.
Fabian,
really excited to be here.
Fabian is going to be one of the people joining us once in a while. We have Michael, we have Shayla, now we have Fabian. Right, so today we're having a really good topic. We're talking about the new Psychoactive Substances, NPS, and these are drugs that kind of like mimic traditional substances. So today we have, I don't know if I got that right. I got it right, Troy?
Perfectly correct.
Okay.
Totally professional.
So today we're going to explore it, how we identify them, how they impact productivity, our health, community, societies, and everything on the whole. So join us. First, let me introduce our new co-host, new to the show. Fabian, just tell me a little bit about yourself and what you're looking forward to hearing the most about today.
Today, I'm just really excited about the conversation, simply because we're entering into a new era of drug use and drug creations. And just speaking with the guests here, from scientific point of view, these drugs, how they affect people and what we should look for as citizens of the country to understanding what these new drugs do and how we should treat to them.
Okay.
But I'm just really excited to be here on the whole.
Okay, so Cheryl,
Yes,
Corbin,
please.
just tell me a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Okay, well, I'm Cheryl Corbin. I'm the director of the Forensic Sciences Center, and which is under the Office of the Attorney General. And the Forensic Sciences Center, for years, we've been providing the scientific support necessary for confirmation of not only narcotics and so on as per the schedule, but to be able to give the forensic investigations needed so that the courts, when they're adjudicating cases, can have impartial evidence, because the evidence speaks for itself. Okay? I will upfront say that over the past few years, we've had a lot of challenges with our building, and our services have not been up to 80 or 100% as we would want. We were still able to have some services, especially with chemistry, which is the main section that will be supporting Troy and the EWS and so on. So this is one of the reasons that I'm here as well, to be able to let you know what we were able to do over the time that we have been down, as far as the public is seeing us not operating. But, it's like, hello, we're still working, and we should be back online, I would think, at least up to 80-90% by July. So, yeah, I'm really grateful to be here, because I think it is important for persons to have the misinformation voided and deleted. My whole thing is that if you have questions, ask them, and ask them from the legitimate sources.
And not the Google internet, not the Google search.
No, but we do know probably 60% of the population gets their news from Facebook, but that's another story. That's for another conversation, right? Right? But at least while we're here, we will try to give you as much information that you can work with. And if you are having issues, see things that you're not certain of, who you can call, so that we can try to help you navigate those worries that you have.
Okay, we're
Awesome.
going to go on to Makeda. Sorry, Troy, but, ladies first. You're a social worker, and you also work at the NCSA. So just tell me a little bit about yourself, what you do.
Good morning to the panel. Good morning to Barbados and all those who are listening. I'm Makeda Bourne, Substance Abuse Prevention Officer and Social Worker at the National Council on Substance Abuse. The focus of my job is designing and implementing effective programming according to what is happening in society relating to substance use and abuse. So we design programs for persons from primary school up to who will be the oldest person in society. Wherever research is showing us that there is some form of trend that may become an issue or is an issue, our job is to design programming, activities, get the information out there through different methodologies that the public can be aware of what is happening or what can happen.
Okay, well, that's a lot. I didn't even know you guys did that.
Deep stuff.
Right, so here we have now the Deputy Manager of the NCSA, Troy Wickham.
Okay. Good morning. Thanks for having me. Let me say that up front. Troy Wickham. Who is Troy Wickham? I'm the Deputy Manager of the National Council on Substance Abuse. I can say that prior to being a Deputy Manager, I was a law enforcement officer working in narcotics. So I have seen the drug problem from both sides of the spectrum, which is the supply control side as well as prevention side. Being the Deputy Manager, I'm responsible for all programming at the National Council on Substance Abuse, which include research and information. Managing Makeda, the community officers, substance prevention officers, who go into the field and execute all programs. As well, we have a counseling department, which is responsible for treatment and rehabilitation for persons. The NCSA being the authority in Barbados for drug demand reduction, we're responsible basically for drug demand reduction. Basically identifying the issues, the drug substance abuse related issues across the island, and implementing programs either to want to prevent drug use or to delay the onset of substance use. So we see ourselves as a very important organization, small but very important.
For sure, because I didn't even know you guys did all that.
Yep.
It's just a taste.
Just a taste, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so first off, I know that I want to know, and Fabian probably wants to know as well, what are the new psychoactive substances? What are these? And more importantly, how do they differ from traditional drugs?
Well, I like to call them legal highs. Basically, they're substances that are not controlled, one, by the 1961 Convention for psychotic drugs and the 1971 Convention for psychotropic substances. And that's important. Basically, they're not controlled by law enforcement. They mimic what we call the traditional drugs, such as cannabis, opioids, stimulants, and persons, they're easy to transship. Persons must understand this. So these legal highs are not controlled by law enforcement. Not controlled. So basically, a person can have what we call a NPS, which is a threat to the public health, and that's the most important thing. These substances are threats to our public health.
So what are we talking about then? Like, what are they? What are they?
What are they? For us locally, we have synthetic cannabinoids. Thanks to Miss Corbin and her team, Cheryl, we were able to issue 2 alerts through our mechanism, which is called the early warning system, which is a mechanism designed to disseminate information rapidly and analyze information rapidly on what we call these new psychoactive substances. So in 2023, we were able to issue 2 alerts, one for ecstasy and methamphetamine, and the other one for synthetic cannabinoids. These are new substances to our market, very new and highly addictive substances.
Yes.
I can say for sure the 2 synthetic cannabinoids that we have identified locally, basically we're responsible for deaths in Europe and in North America. So we are very concerned as it relates to these substances. One, for persons or first responders, mainly law enforcement, who come in contact with these substances, which in some instances are deadly. And for our treatment facilities as well as our medical fraternity, these substances are serious business.
So let me ask you this question, because the way you're speaking is like these drugs are here already and they're being used.
Yes.
I guess last year, before these new ones, it was Molly and those types of drugs. But how were you guys made aware?
Well, this is where a podcast like this does help, because what we will be able to give you, as we go through this morning, is to give you some of the processes or ways in which you can provide information for us. Okay. Just if you, with Troy's permission, just bear with me for a minute to let you understand a little bit better what the early warning system is and what it really means. The The early warning system has two primary mandates, and the first one is to protect public health, and the second is to assist law enforcement in identifying, monitoring, and reducing the threat of these new psychoactive substances. Now, the situation is so dire that the international community has deemed this situation a threat to public health. It is no longer just being looked at that you're in possession of an illegal narcotic and it's a criminal offense. It's extended now to becoming a public health situation. And I will jump right in and tell you why that is so. It is because a lot of these, especially the synthetic cannabinoids, which I will speak to you about, in the when persons present at the emergency, like A&E, and the emergency departments involving these substances, the symptoms they have are a multitude of symptoms, like, for instance, seizures, sudden collapse, being catatonic, increased violence. They are a multitude of symptoms that span a range of drugs. So in other words, what happens when they go to A&E, the medical fraternity has difficulty trying to identify what is causing these symptoms. Okay, it means then they are very they're unsure in a sense as to how to treat these symptoms, because some drugs that you use or some medical procedures you will use to treat one symptom coming from one set of drugs may be harmful if you induce those remedial drugs for another set of origin drugs. Okay, so what is happening now is that it is unfortunate. This is a situation, in a sense, almost like how COVID was, where because COVID was a virus that we did not have that much evidential information on. So it's like you were, as it was going through, and unfortunately people dying and so on, we are collecting the evidence from that to be able to be ready if something like this happens again. Unfortunately, this is one of the problems with this type of new psychoactive substances. I am sure that a lot of you last year would have seen that video that was doing the rounds with the guys and people making fun of him and all like that. I mean, that there, even though I am not one to say, well, things like that should be on the social platform, what we did is that we kind of almost like used that. When that came out, we did the second EWS straight after that. Granted, people said, oh, but when I late, we see it already.
Exactly.
But that's not the point. You may only be 10% of the population that see it already. What about the other 90%? You know? So the challenge here, as I said, is that the problem with the new psychoactive ones which are mimicking cannabis, it is not originally in a vegetable matter form.
Correct.
Okay?
Right, that's what I was wondering.
It is a chemical that is sprayed on any type of vegetable material, like for instance, like whether it be dried parsley, tobacco, Fanta, anything, right? It's sprayed on that. And the high is about 100 times more
intense.
And it is, in certain instances, it can be lethal. It can give you heart attacks and so on. And the high is almost instantaneous. It is not like how, well, you know, the brownies and the edibles and all that sort of thing. It's not like how there's a time lapse.
No.
It's just instant.
Instant.
Wow.
Just like that.
I saw that in my research. I saw that the growers in Europe, they spray this this mist over the buds and the leaves while they're growing, and he actually said it makes you more hype. They call it gorilla or
well that may be something that they're using for the actual cannabis plant itself. But the problem with this particular thing is that the chemical that is being used to put on the vegetable matter is easily transported through customs, airport, and there is nothing that you can actually do at this point to be able to say
But that is it.
that is it.
So,
Testing.
Right.
So sometimes these things are sprayed and people don't even know that they're on it, or is it a situation that people spray them
Okay.
intentionally?
Okay, let's. Sorry, didn't mean to. Okay, let's look at let's look at what's happening, if you want to say, in the subculture. Okay, I may be a person that's known to have good stuff.
Hard weed.
Right.
Hard weed.
Hard
There we
weed.
go.
Yeah.
Right?
Hard weed.
So the hard weed maybe because I got a good strain of exotic or I got a good strain of Bajan. No, please don't start chastising me and say, well, Miss Corbin know what the names of these things
I
are.
was just saying so.
Right?
you got no money.
No, she has to know. She has to know.
Right? But we have to know, okay? And so if you know about, okay, well, there's my guy that is going to get my hard weed from, that I got to pay X amount of dollars more than the other fella, I can go to him. Now, I may not recognize that this guy is a little bit unscrupulous and he hear about this other stuff. So, yeah, he gave you some hard weed, but what he's doing is that he taking a little bit of, like, if you go buy the Fanta, because you know you ain't rolling the spliff with just the plain vegetable matter, right? So you go buy the Fanta. So you're looking at me with your head on the side.
I don't know.
No,
But-
It helps
but we
it to
have to
burn
know.
longer.
Right,
Helps it to burn
exactly.
longer.
And so they spray the stuff with it, roll the spliff for you,
Wow.
give you your spliff, and you feel good that you're gonna do it yourself, and you go along, and then you end up on the floor like the fella in the video.
Yeah.
Now, the last EW alert, I kind of took a little bit of flack because I basically told the general public in Barbados, we are not supporting you taking illegal drugs. However, if you intend to do that, roll your own spliff. Right?
I don't see nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
You know when you put
Err
it
on the
in
side of
there,
caution.
right?
Yeah.
And we said to them, you know what the bud looks like, what the leaves look like, what the Fanta looks like. You do that yourself. When you start seeing something that ain't look too right,
Straight way.
we need to know. And what we're trying to tell people, we're not telling you we need to know from a criminal
Right.
perspective. That is not where we're coming from. This is a health matter. So when we get calls sometimes too, and we tell them, speak to NCSA, because at least they'll be able to give you from like the social elements, and because sometimes it is parents with children saying, well, I see something in my son bag and I don't know what this is. And anything that you want your child to come up on juvenile charges? No, it is not that. It's that we want to be able to help the family and everybody in that community to try to be able to live a better life and stay away from these dangers.
Right.
So we tell them, contact NCSA, and usually, like this particular sample that we analyzed came to us through NCSA from a concerned party.
All right,
Wow.
I
That's
really
crazy.
want to get into the testing, but let me bring in Makeda
Yes,
on this,
please.
right?
The social
'Cause-
aspect,
right.
yeah.
You are on the ground. You're speaking to different demographics. What have you learned from the little ones about drugs, drug use, and the purchasing of drugs?
Thank you very much for that question, Fabian. First of all, I want to start off by putting it clearly out there that recreational marijuana is still illegal.
Thank you. Say it
in
again.
Barbados.
Say it again. Say it again.
Recreational marijuana is still illegal in Barbados. Therefore, you should not be having a plant in your patio, your backyard, wherever growing. You should not be giving marijuana to young people. You should not be smoking on your own. We do have in the law something that has been placed for medical marijuana, which is a different type of grade and a different type of conversation as well, right? But I want to get that out there clearly because we are battling with the communities that says or think that marijuana is legal, and that is all age groups. That is not any subculture. That is all age group that think that marijuana is legal. So let's establish that clearly first.
Thank you very much.
Right here in Barbados,
Thank
what
you.
it really
Zero
is.
tolerance. Zero
Right?
tolerance.
And then from there, we want to move on to the question, which is, what are we seeing on the ground? Because there's a school of thought that marijuana is legal in Barbados, there seems to be a more tolerance towards persons using recreational marijuana. So young persons, whether it's our school age population and older, they're not just using, but they're trying all of these different types of drugs. So similar to what Cheryl was talking about, what is scary for us is that most of the time, based on our research, the family system is the number one system that introduces a young person to a drug. Then, and that family system includes not just mother or father, but that individual that they call uncle or auntie
Extended
or
family.
cousins, you know.
Yeah.
It might not even be blood, but because they're so close to the family, we call them uncle and we call them auntie and so forth. And our research has shown that these are the number one system that introduces a young person to a drug. Where am I going with this? It means that that young person is going to trust whatever that person is
Gives them,
using, what they're observing that they're using, observing and may take some to try, as well as what a person may give them to try. Unfortunately, a lot of persons do not know what they are using. They assume that they know. The other thing is that for me, working with the young persons, I work closely with Government Industrial School. I'm at the Nichols Center. I am at New Horizons Academy. I work with the at-risk populations in the community as well. And what I'm seeing is a lot of our young people who choose to use these substances, and then they come to school, and all that they can do is sleep.
Wow. Yeah.
So when there are spaced out like that, and you have teachers coming to teach you, and you are not in a position to learn because the first half of the day is sleeping, then you get up and there's something known as munchies. So then you are hungry and you're irritable. And then from there, I say to these schools, my concern is not when they are on the high, it is when they are coming off of the high. Then you have the aggression. You have persons who want to jump fence. You got persons who want to fight with teachers. You have persons who want to fight with other persons. So even as I'm going in to do drug education, I'm doing a lot of risk assessment with the schools as well. I'm saying, listen, simple thing like how the classroom is set up, because you have to set it up in a way that other students are safe as well as you, the teacher, are safe, because we do not know what the children are using before they come to school. And Barbados need to understand that this is a real thing that is happening. So while some people might go to their AC jobs and feel very safe and comfortable, we have our systems and our school systems where our young people are going into school high on whatever they have used, and they're at risk. They're putting at risk other students as well as the staff of that school. And I want to say staff because you have beyond teaching staff, right? You have administrative staff, you have the support staff, and you're putting the entire system at risk. Again, we have parents who are afraid of some of these side children. I know some Bajans just shoot them out and talk about me afraid of the child. Yes.
But once the child freaking out like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And not only that, the aggression. Imagine you have a child that 10 out of 10 times they're just aggressive. Most of the other times they're just high or probably sleeping. When they're not aggressive, they're sleeping. And when they're up, they're aggressive. And that child is ready to fight with you. And not just fight with you in terms of hands or words, but fight in terms of weapons. They're running for swords. They're running for knives. They're doing it. Imagine being a parent and 95% of your time you're being called away from work to attend to a matter. These are just some of the issues we are seeing that we know are connected to drug use.
Troy, you're about to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was just, I want to take you back to the video
right
that was circulating on social media. As Cheryl said, one of the clips in the video, the guy said got the hardest weed in Barbados. It was actually advertising. It got the hardest weed. And when we investigated, it was not weed. And to add to what my kid is saying, our drug situation, local situation, is slowly diversifying. And we at the NCSA, we are creating programs, developing programs to assist these young persons and to assist faith-based organizations, to assist scouts, Girl Guides, brownies. However, we need fora like this to share this information. To be honest, substance use and substance abuse is a taboo subject, you know.
That's right.
Persons seem not to want to admit that I have a problem, my son have a problem, my daughter have a problem, my nephew have a problem. We tend to say, them okay, or we try to hide them in the back of the house, or dissociate ourselves from their behaviors and don't try to get help for them. So as a result, it's a domino effect. It starts in the home, then it spill out in the neighborhood, then it spill out at the workplace, then it keeps growing and mushrooming and mushrooming and mushrooming, and no one is addressing the problems that we're identifying. And unfortunately, in many instances, persons don't know what they're using.
It's true.
And when you speak, especially the younger demographic, it's normal to want to fit in and to be aligned with what's trending.
Right.
We're all teenagers.
Right.
And the thing is now, what you call the flavor of the month is mollies. Or the so-called, let me say that, so-called mollies.
Right.
Because persons don't know what they're taking. I can
Can't
tell you
even
that.
believe that we have
So
mollies in Barbados.
everybody want, I pop in pills because it's the flavor of the month.
Pill
I
thing.
pop in a pill. I going to a party, I need to pop a pill. I going on, my boys pop in pills, so I pop in pills. And unfortunately, our school children are being entangled in situations like these. And it's incumbent for us, the NCSA, being the authority in Barbados, to share this information through public awareness campaigns. And we have been attempting to increase our public awareness, our image, especially on social media, using Instagram and those forums. And thanks to persons like Makeda, who is at the forefront of our community outreach, especially with the at-risk populations in the schools. As she said, the stories that Makeda bring back to the office, sometimes it's mind-boggling, and children jumping fences, and children acting out, want to attack teachers, and children come in school high and spaced out. And the names that you hear, like, whoa, you hear this name of drugs, this name of Russian beer, and different names of weed, and like, what? Where this coming from?
That's so true.
Right.
Yeah, and I
That's
just
so
wanted
true.
to add to that, to what Troy is saying. You know, like for years ago, all we were faced with was maybe some pharmaceuticals like Valium and things like that persons who had money could get a hold of.
Right.
And the street drugs was limited to crack cocaine and marijuana.
Marijuana, right.
The problem now is that our synthetic drug market is increasing rapidly. And this poses a huge problem as it relates to detecting, identifying, and monitoring and controlling those substances, especially if you have the synthetic ones that are not on any of our schedules. We now really have to look to see how our laws are written to be able to embrace those drugs that come in the future. And this has been a constant conversation within the legal entities, within the AG's office, to try, because even some international agencies are fighting with it.
Yeah.
Because to be able to get the law written in such a way that you are going to be able to still capture those drugs that you haven't seen yet.
Yes.
Okay? But where the EWS is concerned, we have tried to have a coordinated and comprehensive multidisciplinary team. And that team is not only the NCSA, but it's also the Barbados Police Service, it's Customs, it's ASA FSC, it is the Postal Service, because we're
Fire
always
service.
looking at the fire service as first responders. And I want to also stress the point Troy was making, where first responders are concerned. Not only, I think what a lot of people need to understand too, when we have situations in Barbados that are hazardous, even though, yes, the police are called, okay, for protection purposes, protect and serve, it is the fire service that go into the scene
Okay,
first.
right.
They are the first responders. They are
Right.
the ones who are trained with hazardous materials and so on and so forth. And we have been trying to get some training programs done for them. And our chemistry department at FSC works with that, because we are very, very concerned about fentanyl. Okay.
Yeah.
You would have heard the name. It is a designer drug. It is one that is purely man-made, but it is so dangerous that even if it touches your skin, the amount that touches your skin, you could die from it.
Wow.
Okay. And so, like, we have now got to be able to have the first responders be equipped with Narcan, which is the substance that combats, reverses the effects of the fentanyl. And even for us at FSC, my chemistry officers do not work in the lab unless Narcan is there. I mean, when you think about it, good heavens, we've got to get to that point, you know, people think that the people who do these sciences, the little lab rats, they ain't gonna worry about them, you know, that they was just push out the results, you know, and nobody really sees them. But we got to think that the protection and security of all of the players have to go across the board. So, but the challenge is here, Fabian, I will say this to you. Fentanyl does not work. I mean, sorry, fentanyl, Narcan don't work with these other things.
Exactly.
Wow.
So it's not as if we have a all-purpose, multi-purpose antidote
Right.
that we
That says,
we can walk
this,
around
and-
with,
and-
and you know, picture
Yeah,
your
yeah,
leg,
like-
and you good. No, that's TV.
That's telly. Telly.
That's TV.
That's telly. That's
right?
telly.
So, what is important for us, as I keep saying all the time, is that we want you to share your information with us. You're sharing it in a safe space. We're not sharing it to go and rat on you and tell
Right.
the police this. And in many instances, the police really aren't even involved per se, as it relates to a lot of the things that come between NCSA and us. What we do, however, is that if we are given a substance, we do all of our documentation on it. We take all the photographs. We do all the analysis on it. We know what the compounds are there. What is important for us is if, let's say, if it was a tablet, that it has a particular characteristic, shaping, and designs on it. Now, we have to take that for intelligence purposes and pass to law enforcement.
Right.
Because we need to tell them, okay, well, this is what is on our streets now.
Yeah.
Then again, it may not necessarily be on the street. It may be somebody that brings it in. But we are also receiving the information from DEA, Drug Enforcement Agency, FBI, UNODC, all of these international agencies. We have to keep up with all of the newsletters, the notifications, and like when Troy sees something that comes from his side, which may not be a common resource for us, he passes it to us. We do it the other way, so that we can all be on the same page and know what we have to do. And really and truly, it is very scary and
Seems
ominous.
Scary, for sure.
But people don't see this, and in a sense, we don't want them to see it, because if they start seeing it, that means that we've lost control. That all the measures that we've tried to put in place, they've failed, and we don't want that to happen. So this is why we need you to tell us what you're seeing. And it's like I always say, no question is a bad question. It is only if you don't ask.
So take me through. If Aisha see something that looks a little weird, what's my step? Who should I communicate with? Who should I call? Should I call Troy first, or should I call you guys? What should I do?
Answer that one, Troy.
Okay. For me, you can. It's either or.
It's either or.
Who you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
The thing is, there are protocols in place as it relates to how we handle these substances. If you submit it to me, obviously we treat confidential.
Right.
Confidentiality is key, especially to organizations such as the NCSA.
That's what we needed to do. Right.
Exactly. We will handle it confidentially. Then I would obviously submit the substance to the forensic science center. They have a form.
Yeah.
I fill out the form.
It comes in as a query that does not carry a name
okay.
to it.
Exactly.
It would be whatever names and situations that are tied to it stays with NCSA.
Exactly.
It just comes in as a
query.
code that they would have the nexus for the code, and we would work with that code. Right? So we don't have to have any names
any
on our side.
details or anything
Right.
like that. And that's important. As I said, we are in the business of prevention, treatment, and rehabilitation. And we use research, a lot of research, to inform our policies and practices at the NCSA. And
You see, I didn't even know that. I didn't know that you guys did rehabilitation, to be honest. Yeah,
wow,
I did it.
wow.
To
I
be
can
honest,
say
you knew that?
I did not know that.
We have
I know they do a
two-
lot of research.
we have two beautiful counselors. I can say they're well qualified. We see a lot, unfortunately, we see a lot of what we call our clients are mainly of the younger demographic, school-age children. 'Cause we get a lot of referrals from schools, from probation department, from the criminal justice system. Unfortunately, but my thing is, if we see everyone is a success story, it's important for us to engage that demographic so that they can become productive citizens once again. Don't give up on the young people. As I said, they tend to want to experiment. with things, with substances, and to be the cool kid. I know everybody want to be cool at school. Unfortunately, being cool may lead you down the wrong road, especially if you don't have alternatives to substance use. And I can see, obviously, we move around, and Makeda stressed on it. A lot of persons think that weed legal.
Right.
And to be honest, it has been decriminalized. The legislation has spoken to decriminalization
But it's
with,
still
four,
illegal.
with
But still
14
illegal.
grams or less. But still, there's a process to the decriminalization where persons under the age of 18 must present themselves to the NCSA for counseling. It's a must.
Oh, okay.
It's a must. They
So-
must see us. However,
This is when?
if you have 14 grams or less, you're
Right.
ticketed and you're under the age of 18,
okay.
you must present yourself to the NCSA for counseling. If you're on it over 18, it's optional.
The
Where
court will send you.
The court will send you, or if you want to go through the criminal justice system without seeing us, it's fine. But then you must present yourself to us for counseling. And the politicians, the government, saw that as a way of, one, trying to protect especially our young males, because
Right.
our research, our Barbados Drug Information Network, BARDAIN, better known as BARDAIN, is a yearly report that we produce every single year to give us an entire overview of the local drug situation. And it has consistently shown us that, one, young males under the age of 40 has presented themselves to treatment facilities for various substances, and then these same young males are coming in contact with the criminal justice system.
Right.
So look at it this way. You have young males on the almost productive years, on the age of 40, or workforce, getting one criminal convictions. So then when they turn up at Mr. Vickers' office looking for a job and they ask for a certificate of care, they say you got a drug offense.
Right.
You can't work here. You can't work here. You got a criminal record. So that was an attempt to alleviate that somewhat. However, I have recognized that with that attempt, persons believe that, look, smoking weed is a free for all. Smoking weed is a free for all. Illegal, and I have read it in local papers. A person go before the magistrate charged for drug possession. Say, but sir, but I thought we legal and stuff like that. And it's important that persons understand that it's not.
So, well, let me just stop you there, right?
Yeah.
So, what is the legal part of that, of persons who can legally partake in marijuana? Speak to that.
Medicinal.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what medicinal means.
Okay, let me
Tell
explain.
me what I mean, please.
Medicinal marijuana must be prescribed by a medical practitioner. And however, there are only certain medical practitioners that are authorized at pharmacies to prescribe this medicinal marijuana. And medicinal marijuana is grown under certain conditions. Let me say that up front. They're grown in controlled environments under certain conditions. It's not that I decided, you know what, to far right eye wake up
Right. Yeah.
and growing my weed in my backyard, and I say this is my medicinal marijuana.
No.
It don't work like that.
Also, too, medicinal marijuana, the regular marijuana that would be out there, the element, the chemical in it that causes the
THC.
high and the hallucination is THC,
C.
which is delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol. Okay, that is what the main chemical is. The natural plant also has other chemicals in it, cannabinols and cannabidiols. The cannabidiols are the chemicals that have been proven to assist in reducing pain and discomfort for cancer and when you have glaucoma and so on. So what happens is the medicinal marijuana, if it is in plant form, it is not what is being grown. It is not to be cannabis sativa. Cannabis sativa is what you see as the regular marijuana that you would roll the spliff with.
Right, let me play devil's advocate.
Hold on. No, let me finish. Let me finish
Let me
first.
stick up
Let
in
me
there.
finish
Coming
it.
out, yeah.
Cannabis, the other species, cannabis indica, is the one that is to be grown for medicinal purposes because the THC levels are
Are low,
very
low.
low. So medicinal marijuana does not give you a high.
And in Barbados,
Doesn't.
to add to Miss Corbin, in Barbados, medicinal cannabis is not smoked.
No, it has to be when
It is
medicinal
not smoked.
when a license is given to a company
It's
to
not for
grow
smoking.
cannabis for medicinal purposes.
It's not smoke.
The plants have to be
Processed.
taken and processed,
Right.
and the CDB be extracted.
Right.
I am just nodding my head. I'm in disbelief because you are saying to me the plant that is grown out of the earth
Yes.
can't be used to heal yourself, can't be used for cancer and reducing
Don't get me
pain
wrong.
and
No, that's not what I'm
No,
saying.
right now
Don't
what
get-
he's saying.
But that's the one they're smoking.
No,
and
but-
they,
but-
and they can
yeah,
easily
yeah,
say,
but-
"Well,
but-
I'm using
Yeah,
this
no.
for this."
Okay, dude.
Before there was medical marijuana, there was marijuana.
Okay, but let me clock you here. Okay, right. Hold tight. Let me just get it straight.
Straighten
just
me
get
out,
it straight.
Miss Corbin. Straighten me out.
What you need to recognize is that whether you like it or not, we live in a country that has laws. The law says that anything that contains THC under the Drug of Abuse and Prevention Control Act,
That one you want.
right, is illegal.
Message.
Right.
I like it. I like it, Fabian.
It's illegal. Right? Okay. You have your plant, the marijuana, the cannabis sativa plant. And I will say to anybody, honestly, it is one of the most beautiful plants you can ever see when it's growing healthy.
It's pretty, yeah.
We see them all.
It's pretty.
It is beautiful.
A pretty plant.
never
And
seen
I'm an artist, so I'm telling you
It's a pretty plant,
that is
huh?
beautiful.
Yeah, the buds are
Five palmate leaves, serrated edges, so
Yeah.
on and so forth, all of that.
buds.
Right? All of that. However, within the cannabis sativa plant, the level of THC is extremely high compared to the level of the CBD and the cannabidiols, which cannabinoids and the cannabidiols, which are the ones that have been proven to have the medicinal qualities. I am not saying that you are not going to have some medicinal benefits from smoking the cannabis sativa, but fella, you can be so damn high before you could really start feeling them medicinal benefits because the cannabinoids and the cannabidiols are very low compared to the THC. This is why the plants like cannabis indica, where the THC levels are only like somewhere down like 2 or 3%, compared to the other chemicals, those are the ones that are grown and taken and processed for the medicinal thing. And check this. When you get that license to do this process in Barbados, if you think that you can somehow grow sativa and make everybody feel it's indica, when the drug inspectors come along and they realize what you got, they get all destroyed.
All right.
And Fabian, you asked
Right?
a question. I must add, it's also permitted for sacramental purposes
Yes.
for the Rastafarian community.
Well, all them men point the block is rasters.
But they have to be registered.
They gotta be
They have to be
registered.
form
And there
a
must be a
community.
place, correct, and there must be
and it
another
must be
temple.
done in one
One
place,
one location.
one location.
The block.
No,
No.
the block in the temple.
No, the block in the temple.
The block in the temple, Fabian.
If I can just jump in here,
Yeah.
Isabel, let me strengthen the fact because we are seeing persons who are choosing to walk around Barbados smoking, being on the beaches smoking, in our
Openly.
parks
Openly, yeah.
smoking,
I seen it and I like,
because
what?
they think that that is okay. But we want to make it clear to Barbadians that the health service regulation speaks clearly to smoking in public
Oh, dear,
places. What
Michaela.
is that defined? Public place can be defined as one, any place where individuals gather, whether that is under a covering or without a covering. Any place that is owned by the government, even if it's a statutory organization, that is considered a public place. Any place that, like the primary schools, secondary schools, workplaces, even if it's a construction site, meaning just the land with galvanized around it, but people gather, that is defined as a public place. Therefore, the law clearly states, which was updated in 2010, that you're not supposed to be smoking in public places. In fact, government has taken even a further step to protect persons from smoke, whether second-hand, third-hand, side stream. It doesn't matter. But also saying you're not supposed to be burning your leaves and other
Stuff.
rubbish in public.
Yeah,
You're
rubbish.
supposed to get a
A burner
license.
permit.
Yeah,
I'm-
yeah.
So persons as they drive wrong, or even in your neighborhood where your neighbor like to be burning things every day, that is illegal. And people need to understand what the law says. I know we like to pad up things and help people, but I'm a little black and white, especially when it comes to health. And we start off the conversation by saying this is a health issue,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
And people need to understand these type of drugs are very dangerous. So where you are growing and smoking it, especially in confined spaces, research is also showing that there is something known as third-hand smoke. So we discussed direct smoke, where a person may take some type of substance and they inhale that. There's second-hand smoke when a person breathes out and another person breathes that in, or it decides string from that. Another set of complication. But then when a person is consistently using a drug in a space, the floors, the beds, the curtains,
Yeah.
they
Fabrics.
absorb
So that's
Fabric.
third hand.
chemicals.
Yeah. Okay.
And then what third hand is now is that those give you byproducts, and the scientists will give you more of that, right? I see it in my lane. But then a person who comes in that room and they are taking in those chemicals.
Right.
So you have to be careful with hire cars.
Correct.
When people are hiring cars and they're
smoking.
deciding they're smoking, or if you know people to be smokers in their cars, these are simple things that are dangerous. And then when you have the side effects 6 months later, a year later,
sure.
You don't know where
Yeah,
it's
so
coming
cancer,
from.
you
from,
don't
right.
make the connection, unfortunately. And the other point from the conversation that I want to stress as well is that I want persons to understand that our laws again are out there to protect young persons
Minors.
and to protect families and individuals. So it's not that we are out here saying we want to control you. It is that we want to be in a place that we have a healthy society.
Yes.
For us who are living now and for those who are to come. So it's not a case of that bombarding thing. And for the person who is out there that is arguing that is the jazz plant that come out of the
Healing
earth
the
and they're
nation.
bringing all of the different scriptures, there's no scripture that you can bring for me to justify that is speaking to the cannabis plant. So even if we nickname it herb or weed and we want to pull out those key words out of the Bible in the English meaning, it is not justified. In addition to that, we have to come to the place where we understand if this is your choice to smoke, you made the choice for your health. You have to allow young people the opportunity to have a healthy environment. Hence, the Ministry of Education has an act that says you should not have any form of a drug 100 yards from the boundary line.
Of a school.
And
Of
a
a school.
school is defined not only as the property, but
Any
wherever
place
students
are
gathered.
gathered.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
if all
Sports
the
day.
students decide they're gathering at
A
Farley
stadium,
Hill,
that is
Right.
school
at
for
the
the day.
stadium,
Yeah.
at the beach,
That's
that
school for the
becomes
day.
the school.
For the day.
And 100 yards, you should not have alcohol, which has in a drug known as ethanol. You should not have tobacco. And tobacco is used in Barbados, known as some people may say, we don't use the white people stick, fine, but you're using Fanta, which is a well tobacco, right?
Correct.
So, and whether you're basing it to tone the marijuana,
And you're vaping over
whether you're
there, eh?
doing that
On
again
the
in
vaping,
there,
oh, that's
Right.
you
another,
know,
that's another health matter.
Oh yeah, so I'm saying that people need to stop blaming people and start to think about their own actions and the ripple effect is having on our young people. We are seeing it daily where our youth who are deciding and they're mimicking their parents, they're mimicking what they're seeing on the news, in news forums, in
Right.
terms of the social medias, the songs, the different things. And they are mimicking this because they're glued to
The
these different
devices.
screens,
The
and whatever
devices.
you put in, especially when you're glued on like that, and you have both your audio, you have your visual,
Visuals.
your kinesthetic all working at the same time. That is reinforcing inside of the brain the information. So when it comes time now to put out, you're gonna put out exactly what you have been putting in all
Yeah, they allow-
along, right?
I just,
Right.
I
Yeah,
just-
so we
I
need
just-
to be careful.
Yeah, I just want to add and reinforce what Michaela is saying as well. At the end of the day, she was saying that she's very black and white. Okay, I am to a certain extent. For me, what it is this: we live in a country that has laws. The laws are written for a reason. The laws that help support the public health, the laws that try to keep the violence and all those things at bay, right? We also, as human beings, have moral compasses,
Correct.
and we also have choices. What is important is for you to make an informed decision.
That's right.
You can only make an informed decision
said.
if you know
The
all
facts.
the
The facts,
facts,
yeah.
not the misinformation.
Correct.
Sorry for my voice level changing.
That's good. Go ahead.
But this irritates me no end. I hate, and I don't like to use the word hate. As I always tell my children, don't
Dislike.
say hate. Just
Dislike.
say dislike
Dislike.
immensely.
Dislike.
I dislike immensely when those people who happen to be the loudest in the room are giving information that everybody else is sucking in, and we walking around like a set of informed sheep.
Right.
It can't work that way. We, as Troy was saying, we are in a situation now. Barbados is now become a very ageist society.
Right.
Yes.
That group of young people that we want to be able to keep things going, keep the legacy alive, keep the economy alive.
That's it.
Where are they?
You're losing them.
We are losing them. And we're losing them for things that could be prevented, right? I mean, for me, I am in the generation now that I ain't say gay now, because I live in my best life right now. I'm telling you. Right? But I am in the era where I could see that if we don't be careful, all of the ones that are in their 20s and their 30s, they are not going to reach their 40s.
Understood.
And what happens to the country then? Then we start complaining that, oh, when they're bringing in all these people from this particular place and you ain't wanting the Bajans to get the jobs. Because they are not available.
Okay.
The resource pool has been depleted, right? And it can stem right back to the fact that you as a parent, you as an adult, you need to give your children those bits of information that they can make informed decisions, irrespective as to how you may feel about something. Tell them the things that are that's supposed to be done legally, morally, and so on. If you want to go in and say, well, as far as the religious script is concerned, if that is if that is part of your dynamic, right? And when they get to a certain age, they should be at a point where they can make good
choices.
decisions
Yeah.
and choices for themselves, right? That is how I look at it.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying that for me, at times, it's not always black and white, but as far as black and white, as far as the law is concerned, that is what has to stay, because that is part of our structure.
And when we say a certain age, let's clarify
18
that.
years old.
18.
18 and older
Older.
by our law. Our
By our
law,
law.
again, protects young people. So a young person is not
16.
in a
To
position
make choices.
to be purchasing alcohol,
Tobacco.
selling alcohol, being used in advertisements for alcohol, tobacco
same thing.
as well, if they're under the age of 18. So I know in Barbados we may accustomed, especially
Sending
in
their
small
children to
communities,
shop.
sending persons under 18 to
To
purchase
beers.
That's part of the
things
culture.
that contain alcohol. We want to make that clear that the law and the legislation has been updated and is now illegal. So shopkeepers, you should be asking for identification. Even if you think you know the age, ask for that ID so you are not breaking the
Liable,
law.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we know illegal drugs is just that. It should not be sold. It should not be
Used.
used, introduced to a young person at all. Furthermore, anyone else in the nation.
Okay.
So we just clarifying some age, getting that out there so persons are clear,
Clear.
when we say a certain age, because I recognize in Barbados a 3-year-old, we call that Malay man, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
He's
you
not-
might
he's
think
not
Malay
mad.
man could go down the road and Malay
buy
man
a
could
box
do
of
this,
cigarettes.
right? So
Or he make free
Right.
age.
I am sure every young gentleman was sent to the shop at some age
But
to buy
it wrong.
cigarettes
But it's still
or
wrong.
buy a
But
flask
it
of
wrong.
whiskey or a
A
rum.
flask of
Yeah,
rum.
but the
Including
problem,
myself.
right, but the
But
problem
it's
there
still
is
And
that
I did it joyfully
Yeah,
because
but
I knew we'd get
You
a
don't
tip.
say you don't say very gratified.
Yes,
but what you gotta remember is that the profile of the country has changed
slowly, yes.
tremendously,
Right.
and it is not just changed within 25, 30 years. It is almost like on a 10-year cycle.
You're correct.
So
Yeah.
where we would have, like in my time in the 60s, you run down to the shop,
You
you go and
aging
bring
yourself.
this. Every single neighbor looking to see whether you get home in time from school,
Correct.
what you're doing out so late, all this sort of thing. That type of community involvement, unfortunately, is no longer there.
Right.
Our society's dynamic has changed. So this is why I get very upset when people try to tell you, oh, but you know, years ago we used to do X,
Right.
Y, and Z. That
Things
does
change.
not apply. No,
No,
it
yeah.
is not
In certain
relevant.
communities.
It don't apply no period.
I
It-
live
it
in a
doesn't.
or people community,
don't
so
apply.
there are persons who, when youngsters go to cross the road, there's
Somebody-
hooligan on the block. It's going to help them cross the road. You waiting, you know Miss Chase coming home at 5. Young man waiting at the bus stop to help Miss Chase with she bags. I still live in that kind of
wonderful.
community.
That's beautiful.
That is wonderful.
beautiful.
And it would be great if that can be extended.
True.
But we
Yes,
also
Barbados.
got to face the reality of what happened in the rest of the country.
Correct.
True. I
It's
understand.
true.
Fabian, to add, moving around Barbados, I remember a year or two ago, I saw a young man in a government school uniform walking the public road with a spliff in his mouth.
Never seen that. Would have never seen
Ma,
that.
I would have never
I see
seen
that
that.
as well.
But we would have never seen that
Before
5
they
years
go
ago.
school, the
Yeah.
block.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Walking the spliff.
But let me say this. Makeda says she's black and white. Miss Corbin says she's black and white. Let me ask you about the blue and red. Right?
Yes.
Put on that hat for me.
yeah.
Why are there... No, I can't answer that. Why isn't there more support from the blue and red in doing things to have the law have teeth where these things are concerned? Because
Enforcement.
they drive past these blocks every day, just like I do, and see these school children on the block lineman or a block adjacent. And back in the day, you could not be block adjacent in your school uniform
It's true.
because the law would say, hey, go from about there.
You
Get
could,
home.
Get in that bus,
you
go
could
school
not
or
be
go
in your
home.
school uniform after 4
After
o'clock.
4 o'clock. Yeah.
No.
But okay,
Again,
so before you
Seriously.
answer that question,
Uh-huh.
I just want some listen to what Tate famous question, but I
Have
want
it.
final thoughts for everybody.
Okay. All right. I can respond to Fabian and give my final thought.
Yes, thank you.
As it relates to the blue and red, and again, society have changed or have evolved. I don't know if for the better or for the worse, because that same block, can you remember when I was young, I go on the corner, the block in the neighborhood and chill with the older guys. But at a certain time, they say, little man, go home.
Go home.
After smoking weed, you can't be here.
Yeah.
Go from here. Go from here.
True.
So that has changed. And unfortunately,
Unfortunately,
we are recruiting police officers from the same communities. That in some instances, mindset have changed as it relates to how they police situations, and many instances short staff. So you have a shift with 1 and 2 or 1 and 3, and you have 40 reports. You going on with 40 reports, 2 burglaries at Miss Bourne's house, a burglary at Miss Corbin's house. So you don't got time to stop in between it because everybody want the police now.
no, yeah,
Like the fast service. Everybody police know. So then you drive past Jameson at the corner, and that in itself lends to the situation we are in now, because we have to move back, in my opinion, to the community policing the community,
correct.
not just the police officers. We're going to go back to the stage where the police are within the community, the adults in the community, the responsible adults in the community, ensuring that the younger persons within the community are on the right and straight and narrow path. Don't mind that some parents can come and cuss you. And that's the truth, that's the reality we live in. Some parents back then, if you reinforce again the right things or the ethical things to do within the community, they were here. Some children only needs that attention, you know,
Right.
and that love and that guidance and that structure. People don't understand. Young people operate better within structured situations and environments. If you allow them to be, this is my favorite line, if you allow them to be a plastic bike, give me a plastic bike. If every the wind blow them, they can go
Yeah.
and stop. If you put them in a structure, they will follow. They may be a little disgruntled at first, but eventually they will toe the line.
That's
And
true.
as it relates to my final thoughts now, I want to let Barbados know that the National Council on Substance Abuse, we remain committed to giving persons the facts. We're not about taking persons' choices away. So we're not the drug police. I like to say we're the drug police. We don't want to tell you stop drinking, stop smoking. We are not about that. We will let you know the harms associated with using these substances so you can make an informed choice. And it's important always to make informed choices. And in many instances, the local drug situation, as I said at the beginning of this conversation, is slowly shifting to these synthetic drugs, which is linked to poor health and violent behavior.
Right.
And the research have shown us that. So I asking persons out there to listen. Let's protect Barbados, especially the future, the younger persons. And for any assistance, feel free to contact the NCSA at 535-6272. And I repeat that, 535-6272. We have experts, like they call the staff experts in the area of drug demand reduction, and we will help you. We will help you. So thank you for having me.
Awesome.
Thank you, Makeda.
I just want to go back to Fabian's question, strengthen some things I heard Troy said. One, the Barbados Police Service are understaffed. That is the reality. I think nearly every agency will ask for more persons, right? So you have increase in crime, increase of things happening, but you have a workforce that is not to the full capacity in terms of the quantity of them. The second thing is information. Cheryl started off about giving factual information. So police is expected to know every single law, right? But they can't, or they might not. So in some cases, there's also misinterpretation. And what we at the National Council on Substance Abuse have been doing, we have started from last year doing educational sessions with the police. And we've been partnering with lawyers to help us to correctly, as much as possible, correctly interpret the laws and to share that information with Barbados Police Service so that when the police are called, even to something for Fanta at a school, they will know that although Fanta is legal in Barbados, it is illegal to have Fanta on the school premises, and it's also illegal for someone under 18 to have Fanta in their possession. So it's those technical things that persons can understand so they can navigate better and be in a better place of knowing, for instance, if I see someone with a spliff, that is actually breaking the law and not that is allowed, right? In terms of final thoughts, hopefully when you edit this will come before the deputy, but I would say that my takeaway is we need to find time to find factual information. What is scary for me as a preventionist in the community is that as information is coming out of forensics, is that things can look like, but it is not. It is not. And that is one of the things that scare me in terms of not just locally, but as you see the trend internationally. And we know when we start to see things internationally, eventually they flow down to the Caribbean.
Right.
So that for me, so I'm begging persons before you just jump in to try things or to take things for value, take time to research, to read, to find out. And for parents out there, you know your gut feeling. You know your gut feeling if something is off. If you see something, you want more information, get it to one of the service agency represented today so that we can get the factual information to you. And we can also help you as parents of how to help your household if they're transitioning from using a drug or experimenting with a drug or thinking about if they should use a drug. We want to help you with that. So feel free to call us at the National Council on Substance Abuse.
Okay.
Well, I guess it's just left to me then. Right, okay. Now, what I would want to say is I just want to reiterate again about having the correct information, as my two colleagues here keep saying. And also, you need to factor in your moral compass and being able to make good choices off of accurate information. And Google is always not necessarily the right place to go.
It's true.
Okay, so it would be better, I would think, to be able to reach out to the national agencies. And I would say that we at FSC would encourage all the public to inform NCSA, the Barbados Police Service, and when they do have items that they may be suspicious of. And remember, the first element is not about bringing a criminal charge. It is about trying to safeguard you and your family and the community within which you live, because the whole early warning system is based on the fact that we recognize these new psychoactive substances and also other drugs are precipitating a public health crisis, which then is going to be very, very difficult for the government and the people as a whole to be able to manage that and to be able to resource it the way how it needs to be. It's just like coming back to what you were saying about the red and blue. What people may not realize is that to carry, not I'm saying that this is an excuse. I'm not, get me right here. Make sure this is not edited out. This is not an excuse of any agency.
We all ears.
This is a fact. The amount of paperwork it takes to
Whoa.
send a man up to in front of the court
Court.
for a spliff
Correct.
is about the same amount to send him up for 15 grams.
Okay.
Or more.
Yeah.
Once it is not the amount over 15, which is trafficking, once it
Same.
is just simple possession, it is the same amount of paperwork.
Same
So
resources.
think about it.
Same resources.
Every time you pass in your police vehicle and you see people walking and you gotta stop every single one and you do whatever you have to do and read them the rights and all, a choice is going to be made. Whether is he really a danger to what is happening out here? Is he really a danger to
Right.
himself? I just get the call that I gotta go to domestic whatever.
Violence.
What do you think is going to happen? Where is the choice going to be made because of lack of resources?
Correct.
As I'm saying, it is not an excuse to say that they should be
Allowed
allowing
to.
that to happen,
It's
but
reality.
this is the reality that we have to deal with, right?
Right.
The second thing is here is that the fight against the MPSs is not only for the agencies, it is ours as a country, as a community, and it will not work unless we have a collective vigilance and that we and unless we have the input from everybody. So you, the public, are an extended part of the EWS team. It's not only just the Forensic Sciences Center or NCSA or the Barbados Police Service or the Fire Service. It is also you, the teachers in the schools. and the pastors in the church and all of that,
Facts.
right? So all I'm getting at is that you're an extended part of the team. It is about protecting our nation, and we at FSC, we will continue to stand at high alert and share whatever information we have with members of the EWS. And you can contact us at 535-6400. That is our PBX number. 535-6404 is security, and they will be able to pass all the information through to me. And what I just want to also say, when parents find items, or sometimes people just have general queries, we always tell them, if you want to submit that, you cannot do it on your own. You must have an advocate. So whether that advocate is a medical practitioner, a lawyer, or even for us at FSC, we even agree to use, like, say, the pastor in the church or something like that. And it has to come in on a legitimate letterhead. When that comes to us, then we can speak to NCSA or the police service to determine what direction we're going to go. Because sometimes people submit things and they want to have it checked, you know? But it's like, many times I myself have to sit down and be counseling people and say, you know, checking this really is not going to be the thing. And plus, it can cost you a lot of money.
Right.
And at the end of the day, you really ain't benefiting nobody. You need to sit down with your child.
Have conversations.
Have a conversation
Have
with
a-
your
just
child.
another
Just
conversation.
just a conversation.
Yeah.
Just
a
another
con-
conversation.
Just a conversation.
Well, with that said, man,
Right.
I want to thank every single one for coming out.
And we can do this again.
Most definitely, we learned a lot. I learned a lot. I am still in awe of the things, the little things that I didn't know, you know, like the police driving by and having to make those crucial decisions, you know.
Yeah.
But I want to thank Cheryl. I want to thank Makeda. I want to thank you, Troy, you know, for coming through, for sharing your insights, your thought, and giving us those tidbits that we really needed to hear. So, if you'd like to learn more about Just a Conversation, follow us on our social media and subscribe for more episodes of Just a Conversation, where we discuss the topics that matter to you.